Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, we are jumping straight into something that I think catches almost everyone off guard.
Hmm.
This tricky little truth that permanent resident status.
Well, it doesn't mean the card in your wallet is actually permanent.
Exactly. It's such a huge milestone. You get the green card, you feel like you've made it, but then you look down and see that expiration date, and it's usually 10 years.
Right.
And we've been analyzing this really comprehensive guide on the 2026 renewal process, because if you ignore that deadline, what seems like a simple task can just spiral into a massive complication.
Oh, the stakes are just immense. I mean, we're talking about your ability to prove you can work, huge problems re-entering the country, and just, these terrifying questions about your status that you really don't need. It's a mess you want to avoid.
So our mission today is really to give you that roadmap for 2026. We're going to break down the Form I-90, talk about some surprising cost savings, these really severe new payment rules, and the one single document that's going to be your safety net while you wait. This is your shortcut to getting it right the first time. No rejections, no delays. Okay, let's unpack this. So let's start at square one. Someone's coming up on that 10-year mark. The form they need is the I-90. But I hear the name itself is a little confusing.
It really is. The official name is Application to Replace Permanent Resident Card.
Replace, not renew.
Exactly. And that's the confusion. It's the one form for both renewal and replacement. So it doesn't matter if your card is expiring, if it's already expired, if you lost it, if it got stolen.
It's all the I-90.
It all goes through the I-90.
Okay, so if the card is expiring, what's the magic window? When do you file?
The absolute trigger is 6 months out from expiration. That's your window.
Yeah.
Don't wait. And if it's already expired, well, you file immediately. And of course, if it was lost or stolen, you file right away. But if it was stolen, you really should file a police report first.
What about for kids? I feel like there's a specific rule about turning 14.
Yeah, there is. It's a federal requirement to re-register when you turn 14 if you got your card before that age. And there's a really important detail here about the fee.
Okay.
You might get the fee waived if you file within 30 days of that 14th birthday, but only if the card expires after you turn 16. It's a very specific, very tight window. Miss it, and you're paying the full fee.
That is exactly the kind of detail that trips people up. But let's flag the biggest mistake of all, the one that guarantees a rejection if you get it wrong.
This is, without a doubt, the most critical distinction to make. If your green card is only valid for 2 years.
The conditional one, usually from a recent marriage.
That's the one. You are a conditional permanent resident. You do not use Form I-90. It's a totally different process. You have to file Form I-751, the petition to remove conditions.
So if you use the wrong form, you're just sent back to the start months later?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Understanding if you're a conditional resident who needs the I-751, or if you're just doing a standard I-90 renewal, that is the first and most important step to avoiding a massive delay.
Makes perfect sense. Okay, let's talk about the money, because the costs have shifted. And the way you're allowed to pay has, well, it's been completely revolutionized for 2026. This is where people are going to get instant rejections.
Right. So the cost itself is pretty straightforward, but it depends on how you file. If you do it online, the total fee is $415.
Okay.
You go the old school paper route and mail it in, it jumps to $465.
So there's a $50 incentive just to file online.
A very clear incentive, yes.
Yeah.
And just to be clear, the biometrics fee is now included in that total. That's a change from a couple years ago. You don't pay for it separately anymore.
That's helpful, but this payment revolution, that's the real shocker.
It is. So effective October 28th, 2025, USCIS has this rigid new rule. No more personal checks, no money orders, no bank drafts, no cashier's checks, nothing.
Wait, hold on. So you're telling me if I just forget and mail a personal check like I've always done, they just reject the whole thing? That's brutal.
It is absolutely brutal, and it's clearly designed to push everyone to electronic payments. For online filers, it's easy. Credit card, debit card, bank account.
But for people who want to file by mail, what's the alternative to a check?
You must include one of two specific forms now. Either Form G1450, which authorizes a credit or debit card charge, or Form G1650, which is for an ACH bank transfer.
Let's just define those really clearly.
Yeah.
The G1450 is basically a piece of paper that lets them charge your card instead of you sending a check.
Exactly. And the G1650, the ACH transfer, is just a direct debit from your bank account. The bottom line is USCIS wants digital payments, not paper they have to process manually. Send a check after that deadline, and it's an automatic rejection.
We should also just quickly touch on fee waivers.
Sure. If you're facing financial hardship, you can request a waiver with Form I-912. The criteria are pretty specific, like being on means-tested benefits or having an income below 150% of the poverty guidelines.
But there's a catch, right?
There's a big catch. If you request a fee waiver, you have to file by mail. You can't do it online.
Okay, let's move to the timeline because this can feel like a real trap. You said file 6 months early, but the processing times are, honestly, they're shocking. 4 months to 24 months or more.
2 years is the reality for a lot of people right now, and it causes so much anxiety. The range is so wide because of, well, systemic issues, huge backlogs that built up in 2025, higher filing volumes, and much more expanded security vetting.
So what's the legal life raft here? What does USCIS give you when the wait time stretches way past your card's expiration date?
This is the 36-month safety net, and it is the single most important piece of protection you have. About 2 to 4 weeks after you file, you'll get a receipt notice in the mail, Form I-797C.
Okay.
And that notice has language on it that automatically extends the validity of your expired green card for 36 months from the expiration date.
36 months? That's 3 years. That's huge. That covers even the longest delays we're seeing. But what about in the real world? How do I explain this to, say, an HR manager who needs to verify my I-9?
That's a very fair question because not every HR department is staffed with immigration experts, right?
Yeah.
But the I-797C is the official legal document. You present your expired card with the I-797C notice. That combination is your ironclad proof of continued status and work authorization.
And international travel, am I good to go with the expired card and that letter?
Yes, but you must carry both. Don't separate them. The letter is your temporary proof of status. The expired card proves your identity. That's what Customs and Border Protection needs to see to let you back in the country.
Got it. And before the final card comes, there's the biometrics appointment. That's just logistics, right? Not an interview.
Correct. It's an application support center appointment. It's quick photo, fingerprints, signature. But, and this is the big but, if you miss it, they can deny your case for abandonment. And you now have to reschedule online or by phone. They don't accept written requests anymore.
Okay, so we've covered money and time. Let's really focus on the warnings. We found the 7 most common, easily avoidable mistakes that cause rejections.
These are the low-hanging fruit. Getting these wrong is just creating a problem for yourself.
Number 1, waiting too long. 6 months is the minimum, not the goal. Number 2, using an old form. You have to check the USCIS website for the current edition, which is 012025 or newer.
And number 3, it's so basic, but it happens all the time. Forgetting to sign the form.
Automatic rejection.
Automatic rejection. Every time.
Numbers 4 and 5 tie back to that payment revolution. Using the wrong payment method. No checks after October 25 and sending the wrong fee amount. $415 online, $465 for paper.
And the last 2 are just about consistency. Number 6, having your name spelled differently on various documents. That flags it for a slow manual review. And number 7, people always forget this. You need copies of the front and the back of your current green card.
The back has critical data on it.
It does. People forget that.
So those are the things you can control, but then there's the big policy curveball that's out of your hands. What's going on there?
This takes us to a pretty serious policy change from December 2025. USCIS put processing holds and mandated extra in-depth vetting for anyone filing an I-90 who is a national of 19 specific countries designated as high risk.
We're talking about countries like Afghanistan, Cuba, Iran, Venezuela. So what does this mean in practical terms? How bad is the delay?
It's severe. For applicants from those countries, that 24-month timeline is probably the best-case scenario, and there are no interview waivers allowed. This isn't just a backlog, it's a full-blown, multi-layered national security review that has to be completed first.
So the advice for anyone affected is you have to assume the longest possible wait.
You must. Keep your mailing address updated with USCIS, that's non-negotiable. Check your case status constantly, and I would seriously consider postponing any non-essential international travel until your new card is in your hand.
Let's pivot to simplifying the actual filing and, lowering that risk of making one of those 7 mistakes.
We've already said online is the best way to go. It's cheaper, faster, you get an instant receipt. But either way, let's just confirm the documents you need.
Okay, so you need a copy of your green card front and back and a government-issued photo ID, like a driver's license. What's almost more important is what you don't need, right?
Exactly. People send in too much stuff. You do not need to send new passport photos. They take your picture at biometrics. You don't need your birth certificate or tax returns. Keep it simple.
And for those who are still set on filing by mail, option B, you have to use the right form, write NA in the blank spaces, sign in Part 5. And of course, include that G1450 or G1650 for payment.
And don't mess up the mailing address. This is surprisingly tricky.
Right, because there are two different addresses.
Two different lockboxes. If you use the regular U.S. Postal Service, it goes to Phoenix. If you use a courier like FedEx or UPS, it has to go to Tempe. Mix them up, and you've just caused another delay.
This all loops back to accuracy. The most expensive mistake you can make is getting your application rejected because you have to start all over again. Pay again, wait again.
Which brings us to a solution we looked at called Immigrationally. It's a document preparation service, and it's basically designed to be a shortcut to getting it right.
It addresses these hurdles directly, it walks you through everything, and its system validates your information against the official requirements. It makes sure you're using the right form, and most importantly, that the payment form, the G1450 or G1650, is filled out perfectly so you don't get rejected on that new rule.
Right. It basically builds a complete, organized filing packet for you with a checklist, so whether you file online or by mail, you know it's correct before you hit send. It's a barrier against those 7 common mistakes.
So what does this all mean for you navigating this renewal in 2026?
The takeaways are pretty simple, but you have to be disciplined. 1. File early, 6 months out. 2. Obey the new payment rules, no checks after October 2025. And 3. That I-797C receipt notice is your 36-month proof of status. Keep it with your expired card, always.
And finally, here's a provocative thought for you to mull over. If you are planning any long trips abroad during this 2-year-plus waiting period, you really need to think ahead. That 36-month extension is great for life inside the U.S., but it doesn't change the rules for travel.
That's right. A trip over 6 months can already trigger some serious questions from border agents about whether you actually intend to live here permanently. And a trip over a year is basically considered an automatic abandonment of your status.
So if you're planning to be out of the country for, say, 8 or 9 months while your renewal is pending, you're adding a whole new layer of risk that you need to manage before you even book your ticket.
Absolutely. It's something you'd want to get expert advice on before leaving.
If you want to simplify this whole process and make sure you don't fall into any of those traps, especially with the new payment rules, we really recommend checking out the Immigrationally document preparation service. They focus on getting it right before you file. And for our listeners, there's a special offer, 20% off using the code PESAC. All the details and links are in the show notes.
Get informed, file accurately, and you can get that green card renewed without all the stress.